bit of a lobby reset just to make sure everything is going. Doesn't that BMW looks sexy? Yes, sir. Pablos, how we doing, my guy? I appreciate your being here. My apologies for having taken late notice to the hard reaction on the stream. I do thank you kindly for that, sir, and I hope that you and yours are well, my guy. Appreciate having you here. Let's see, we're gonna get on board. Haywood, who is out in front? It's really hard to tell. Hands out in front. Really digging the livery of Hamza's as well. All the liveries, everybody, whoever's doing them for them, they're doing a fantastic job, whether or not they're doing them themselves or whatnot. Always turn out looking really, really good. So it's about to go down here. A3T with the Pro Division, y'all, for a 1 hour endurance race here at Monza. And man, oh man, let me tell you what, this is going to be a race and a half here. I can promise you that. It's going to be good. And we do want to give a big old shout out and thank you to the sponsor for the A3T and Six Sigma Sim Racing, putting up some incredibly nice prizes for the top winners for each of the 3 divisions here with the A3T, that being the Pro Am and Am lobbies, or divisions rather. So just getting a little look at Hamza and his lines. We'll go on board here for a lap or two with Hamza and just take a look at those lines. Rectal lines through that chicane there. Woo-wee! All good, my friend. I've been sim racing hard in ACC for some days. Thanks, Pablos. Nice, man. ACC is an incredibly fun game. I actually have to get back into it myself. The only issue with that being is that most of my friends are running on the PS4 version of that game, and I now have a PS5, have had for some time now. So I'm looking to get into running the PS5 version of the game, which I hear is a considerable difference between the 2 versions. So I'm most certainly looking forward to getting back into that. Hamza running with the fastest lap currently on the track with a 147.252. Smoking along. Little gets that a bit wrong, hits the sausage curve. All sorts of spoiling coming out of the first chicane here. Trying to remember all these names, guys. Theo, that's the first chicane. Into the second chicane, which I do believe is also Renfrew, but number 2. Could be wrong. Definitely don't quote me on that. coming into Ascari, my favorite part of this racetrack here at Monza. Quite technical little part of this racetrack, but also very quick if you get it right there. So he gets a great exit out of it. See if he is up on his fastest lap thus far. Looks as though he may, nope. Definitely did not have the fastest lap there. So Lisa Salter is currently sitting in P2 with a 148.232. Gummy currently sitting in P3 with a 148.235, just 0.03 of a second off from Lisa Salter's time. Really close times. The Alessandro here just 0.52 of a second behind Gummy, currently in P3. We have M. Taylor just 0.2 off the back of the Alessandro here, with Thunder Runner 0.3 of a second off the back of Taylor. But time to go yet. Wood now coming in with the fastest lap on the track, moves Hamza down into P2. Haywood coming across the line with a 147.175, so just a 1/10 of a second difference, not even a 1/10, 77 hundredths of a second separate P1 and P2 here. Lisa Salter's accruing a 1-second penalty. Unfortunate there, as Gummy's just 0.03 of a second down. The Alessandro in P5, M. Taylor currently in P6, Thunder Runner here currently in P7, coming around the parabolic, and just now we'll see if he can better his time. During the previous race, this was our co-host in Thunder Runner over there on the Purple Channel, y'all. Pop on over and show that man some love. Does not better his time right there. We got Captain Case currently in P8. See if he can better his time right now. Also does not. So BBR's CB Mac here currently running in P9, just 1/10 of a second behind Captain Case though. We got Traver here in P10, just 91 hundredths of a second behind CB Mac. We got Snipes here, just 19 hundredths of a second behind Traver. Staley in P12, just 2/10 off the back of Snipes. And Kim Jeekliff just 1/10 of a second behind Staley. Oh, Haywood picking up an unfortunate 1-second penalty is going to negate this lap. Oh, and that's unfortunate too, because he's 2/10 of a second up on his fastest time. That would have put him into the 146 mark. E2 in that BMW, incredibly difficult car to race in. I just so happen to know, as I've been racing in it for the past month, nearly and a half. Pretty much only the BMW, up by 0.3 of a second, would have cleanly put him into the 146 mark, but going to have to serve that 1-second penalty, which is going to negate this lap, but he'll be going slower coming through the Parabolica to begin with may give him a really nice and clean exit out of Parabolica, making for a really good, clean, fast, hard charge into his next lap. MONZA now just coming up to Ascari now. MONZA up by 1/10 of a second on the fastest lap on the track, very nearly putting him into the 146 mark. We'll see if he can do it. It would give him the pole for the time being if he can hold on to that time he's gained. Just shy, coming across with a 147.252. So, I apologize. That was his fastest lap. He came across that time with a 147.382. Lisa Salters here on the final lap, holding on to P3. Just coming out of the Parabolica now. See if he can better that time. Does by 0.2 of a second into the 147s. 147.996. Gummy. And Gummy is done. Will remain in P4. D'Alessandro definitely does not better her time there. Ken Jeekliff moves up into P6. Evan Taylor falls down into P7. Traber falls into P8. Thunder Runner falls down into P9. Captain Case sitting in the pits here in P10. CB Matt in P11. Snipes in P12. And Staley rounding out your field in P13. Boy, howdy. Apologies, y'all. I'm going to take a moment before this race begins and grab some more water because I have run dry. I'll return just momentarily, y'all. All right, so and look at your starting positions. We'll have Haywood starting out here in row 1. P1 grabs the pole position. MONZA falling just behind Lisa Salters in P2 with Gummy. And Lisa Salters in row 2 with Gummy starting out the side. And row 3 we'll have D'Alessandro and Ken Jeekliff in P6 here. Row 4 will have M. Taylor and M. Traber, and P8 here. For row 5 we will have Thunder Runner and Captain Case. Row 6 we will have CB Mac here in P11 and Snipes in P12 with Staley rounding out your field here in P13. Now I'll tell you what, boy howdy, we're just about ready to get after it. It is just about time to get this race started with a false start, grid start. We have 1 light, 2 light, 3 light. It's just about time to get some racing, y'all. And we have green, and they go. And I'll tell you what, nobody getting a false start on that. Haywood get an incredibly good start, immediately goes defensive into the first chicane on the Renchipio. Boy, howdy. And if I could just remember these names, that would be great. Gummy getting along cleanly. Lisa getting along cleanly. Hamza getting along cleanly. Hamza losing a couple of places. Now we got D'Alessandro and M. Taylor side by side, followed by Traber and Thunder Runner. D'Alessandro and M. Taylor still side by side. Woo-wee! Side by side as we come into the chicane. Brilliantly done by all of those racers right there. You just see all 4, 5, 6, 7 of those cars coming through absolutely cleanly. Now M. Taylor and Thunder Runner side by side. And we're headed down the long straight now up into Ascari. Boy, howdy. Captain Case getting all sorts of slideways back there into GTR. Meanwhile, Haywood looking to run away with this thing. 2.5 second gap already in the first lap. Gummy into P2. Lisa Salters here in P3 with Hamza just behind Lisa Salters. And Ken Jeeklib here in P5 picks himself up a position. Hamza looking to the inside. Lisa Salters coming through the Parabolica. Decides better of it. Tucks back in behind Lisa Salters now. Lisa Salters just 0.4 of a second behind Gummy here. Ken Jeeklib all over the back of Hamza. D'Alessandro, unfortunately, has picked up a 0.5 second penalty. Meanwhile, Taylor under threat from Thunder Runner and Traber. Thunder got the inside, now tucks in behind Taylor. Meanwhile, Traber goes to the inside. Woo-wee! Beautiful racing in the Pro Division here to begin this race on the lap 2 now. Thunder Runner here sitting in P8 following M. Taylor quite closely, just 0.3 of a second separating those two, with M. Traber following behind 0.3 of a second behind Thunder Runner. We got Snipes 0.2 of a second behind Traber here. Staley 0.6 of a second behind Snipes, and CD Matt closing in quickly on Snipes. In P12, Captain Case here, falling back off the back of the pack a little bit, 2.7 seconds between him and CB Matt. Let's get back up to the front of the pack. Meanwhile, Haywood, 3.6 second lead over Gummy now. Gummy, 0.5 of a second ahead of Lisa Salters. Nowhere in the clear, I can promise you that. Ken Jeeklib getting around Hamza there, now up into P4. Coming under threat from D'Alessandro. If it weren't for the 0.5 second penalty, she's going to have to serve right here, pulls off the racing line, dives right back into the racing line, catch that grab to Hamza, has to not to lose too much time. Brilliantly done by D'Alessandro there. Alessandro now coming under threat from M. Taylor. Just 0.5 second, 0.6 of a second now separate those two. Taylor followed very closely. Well, 0.8 of a second off of Traber here. Thunder Runner looking to the inside of Traber now. Coming into the Renchipio. The first chicane here at Monza, the ultra dangerous chicane there. Everybody gets through again absolutely flawlessly. Again, Thunder Runner getting the excellent exit out of there. Is all over the back of Traber now, looks to possibly go to the outside, now cuts back into the inside. Oh no, and who was that? Gummy getting it all wrong, falls all the way back into last place. And I don't know why. My replays were working. I was going to try to get you guys a look at that. Replays were working, and now they are not. Unfortunate. We have another caution flag there for a second, it looked like. Taylor pulling his fastest lap by 1/10 of a second here. 1 second off the back of D'Alessandro. Alessandro now up into P5. Just a half second separating D'Alessandro here from Kenji-Club. Hamza getting around Kenji-Club. Back up into P3. Meanwhile, Lisa Salters with a 1.7 second gap over Hamza and tailing Haywood by 4.8 seconds. Lisa Salters coming across the line 1.3 seconds faster than the previous lap there, so absolutely clipping along is Lisa Salters here. Hamza trying to run away with this deal, 4.7 seconds ahead of Lisa Salters. Now dropping a tenth of Lisa Salters though. Lisa Salters getting a great exit out of the Renteria. The first hard chicane here at Monza. Hamza just 1.7 seconds now. Hamza pulling fastest lap on the track, pulling purples by nearly a half a second here. See these pro racers here not quite as friendly to their tires as the Pro-Am division. Just 4 laps in, you can see a bit of wear going on those tires. I can see it anyways. All right. Oh, boy, 3 penalties in a row. Taylor with a half-second penalty. Thunder Runner with a 1 second penalty. And Snipes with a half-second penalty. Snipes moving up into P8 now. CB Matt here in P9. Staley up into P10. Capicase in P11. Traver falls back to P12. We missed that. Not sure what happened there. Wish my replays were working. We'll try it one more time. It actually worked that time. Traver and Thunder battling out, and Traver catches catches a little bit of CB Matt too. Does a full 360 on the track there. We just caught that in time. Traver catching a little bit of the dirt. Boy, howdy. Oh, and now we get the famous flashing fuel lights. Don't worry about that at all, y'all. It has now gone away. Very good. So Haywood here out in P1, still holding that 4.8 second gap over Lisa Salters, but Lisa Salters gaining some of that time back. You can see hundreds of seconds just dropping off there now, tenths of seconds. Meanwhile, Hamza starting to close that gap up on Lisa Salters, just 1.4 seconds between the two here. Angelica 5.1 seconds back. Thunder Runner still having to serve that 1 second penalty. Remains in P6 for the time being. Taylor now getting a great run on Kanjiku there. Really closing that gap up just to 0.2 of a second now. Kanjiku getting a better exit there. So Battlefield P4 continues. Taylor coming into Ascari. Loses a little bit more time to Kanjiku, but now making it up on the exit. Thunder Runner here in P6. Oh no, got a 2 second penalty. Oh, that's horrible. That's going to lose him 2, possibly 3 places here. Indeed it does. Nice. Bailey and D'Alessandro all getting around. Now we got a battle here brewing between Staley and Snipes. So D'Alessandro up into P6, 4.9 seconds behind M. Taylor here in that Ford GT. Incredibly beautiful race car that is. So the battle here, really, for the time being, is at positions 7, 8, and 9 between Staley, Snipes, and Thunder Runner. Thunder Runner now catching right back up to the back of Snipes. Just 0.3 of a second between the two. Ooh-wee. Snipes gets a little bit of that sausage curd there. Manages to keep gathered up though. And the old GTR can be an incredibly difficult car to hang on to as well once you break it loose. Those Snipes now open up 0.6 of a second gap to Thunder Runner here. We got CB Matt here in P10, just 1.3 seconds off the back of Thunder Runner. So on the charge here is CB Matt. We got Gummy in P11 here, 5.3 seconds off the back of CB Matt. Traber, 7.2 seconds off the back of Gummy. Captain Case falling off the back of the pack a little bit. In P13, Haywood now time dropping continuously between Lisa Salters and Haywood. Now half a second time has dropped off from that pace here. Salters trying to close that gap, making just a high 3-second gap now, just very nearly into that 3-second margin. Lisa Salters going fastest lap on the track right now, pulling them purples. MONZA, meanwhile, getting it all sorts of sideways back there, drifting it around this chicane. 1.6 second, make that 1.5 seconds now, separating P3 and P2. And G-Club falling off a little bit, 6.5 seconds off the back of Hamza. M. Taylor falling off the back of Ken G-Club a bit, 2.6 seconds separate P4 and P5. The Alessandro, meanwhile, sitting here in P6. Daily up into P7 with Thunder Runner and Snipes both picking up half-second penalties as they're all entering into Ascari here. Coming out of Ascari is when they'll have to serve these penalties. Oh no, Taylor getting it wrong. Let's see if we can get you a little look-sees. Taylor was pulling purples. Traber back there got it wrong as well. Oh wait, did I hit it twice? I think we went way far back. We did. Bummer. My apologies, y'all. My apologies. So Taylor falling back into P11. Gummy the first to pit out of these 13 racers. So Taylor and Traber both falling back off the back of the pack here. Captain Case going to gain some ground on these two. Gain some positions on Gummy here. And now just 16 seconds off the back of Taylor. Meanwhile, Haywood holding on to that 4.1 second lead over Lisa Salters. MONZA 1.2 seconds off the back of Lisa Salters in P3 currently. And pulling purples, they've got a bit of a gap on P4 in Ken G Club at the 8.3 second comfortable lead over P4. So the front three runners really trying to run away with this race. The Alessandro just 4.6 seconds back off the back of Ken G Club in P5 currently. Staley in P6 currently now with a 1.1 second lead over Thunder Runner. Staley just cannot get away from Thunder Runner. If Thunder Runner can keep out of the penalties, he'll have that position. Snipes falling off the back of Thunder Runner, 3-second deficit now he faces. CB Matt with a 4-second deficit to Snipes. Traber with a 6-second deficit to CB Matt. M. Taylor all over the back of Traber now, 0.7 of a second separating the two. Get back up here to Lisa Salters and Hamza now, just 0.6 of a second separating these two racers. Hamza just barely touched that sausage curve. That's the way you want to take that right there. And I mean, just barely even nicked it. See, it didn't unsettle the car at all, but Lisa Salters getting a great run there. Opening up that gap a little bit more by, I mean, thousandths of a second. That's it. Just coming into a Ascari. We'll see if Hamza can close up that gap. Does by 1/10 of a second thus far, 2/10 of a second. Oh, Hamza got a great exit out of there. Firmly well within the slipstream of Lisa Salters. These guys already catching up to what is nearly going to be lap traffic. So now, fastest lap on the track currently with a 1:48.343. Hamza down to 0.5 of a second, separating himself and Lisa Salters here. Lisa Salters gets a great exit there out of Rentafio. Close action here between P6 and P7. Thunder Runner all over Staley's case again. Thunder Runner looks to the inside. He's going to get the move done. He's got a nose out there. Thunder Runner. As they come into the chicane, putting on the brakes, both of them. Ah, fantastic job right there. Thunder Runner does take P6. Unfortunately, Snipes has picked up another half-second penalty. That's going to definitely allow CB Matt to close up that gap even more so. Cameron M. Taylor gets it all wrong right there. Oh, man, unfortunate. Coming through the chicane there. Just pushing too hard, trying to make up the time he'd already lost from his previous incident. Gets it all wrong again and goes round and round he goes. So Haywood now 3.5 seconds ahead of Lisa Salters. Lisa Salters really starting to push now to try to stay ahead of Hamza. Lisa Salters and Hamza both getting a great exit out of Parabolica. They both make their way through the Rentafio here. Hamza gets around Lisa Salters. What a fantastic move. Let's take a little look-sees. Hamza pulling purples. Shows the lead coming up into Ascari here. Boy, that goes back a long ways. I do apologize. It's the only button I know that makes the replay happen. Hey, Earl. Great. I appreciate you fellas. That GT does look great of Remy's, doesn't it? Boy, why did that go back so far? It went back like 2 minutes or something. Sheesh, we can't stay on that. We got to see if Lisa Salters can catch Hamza back up, but I don't know. But I'll tell you what, the story here is Hamza now just 2 seconds off from the back of Haywood. Haywood's lead dwindling and quickly. Hamza now pulling out fastest lap again with a 147.654. And Jeeplov and Thunder Runner now pulling into the pits. Staley will get around. PB Matt will get around. He's going to pit as well. So Traber and Snipes getting around. Alessandro as well up into P4 now. With Staley in P5. Traber back up into P6. Traber looking at a move on Snipes here. Does get the job done. Just caught that. Good stuff. Good stuff. Looking at the rest of the field here to see where CB Matt comes out. Gonna come out just ahead of Gummy here. Boy, this is gonna be side by side. This is gonna be really, really close right here between Gummy. Oh no, Gummy's got a great run down the long straight there. Just had the top end from the whole straight there to work his way around. So CB Matt will come out in P12. M. Taylor currently in P13. So getting around Haywood does make the move stick. Just got back to that in time. What a move right there by Hamza. These Salters are 2 seconds back off these front runners here. And I'll tell you what, as far as Hamza getting a little bit sideways there, a little bit loose coming out of the chicane there. Haywood starting to close that gap back up on Hamza now. We come into the second chicane here. Down to just 0.3 of a second. Now we got P4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 coming into the pits. Kenjico now up into P4. D'Alessandro coming out of the pits just beside Thunder Runner here. On a fresh set of tires, a full tank of fuel here. Thunder Runner takes on a bit less fuel there. Grabs him a position now. Thunder Runner up into P5. Kanji here in P4. Gummy in P8. Staley was in P7. CB Matt here in P10. Graber in P11. Snipes in P12 with Taylor coming just now coming out of the pits. Now Hamza having to pit. Haywood continues on back into first place. Hamza and Lisa Salters following suit come into the pits. What will Kanjiklip do? We've got some time before we'll even see that. 50 seconds separating P3 and P4, and we're only on lap 13, 24 minutes into this race. Yeah, indeed, Greg, that's absolutely cruising, huh? That 147.654, just absolutely flying indeed. Hamza and Lisa Salters will come out, not even lose a position. Each taking on a fresh set of tires and a full tank of fuel here. So Kanjiklub does gain 40 seconds on them. Now Kanjiklub and Thunder Runner side by side as they come into Rented Field here. Oh, Thunder Runner getting a great exit, but gives Giangico a bit of a boost there. He had the run, but he just couldn't quite get that car around the Porsche of Giangico. So now it's a battle for P4 now. Thunder Runner looking on the outside. Now back to the inside. Giangico going defensive as they come into De La Rosa here, I believe. That is what that first one is called. First chicane. Haywood just now coming into pit. Got a 33-second lead over Hamza. That's going to be enough if he wants to get a full tank of fuel for him not to lose this spot to Hamza again. We shall see if the undercut has worked out. And oh no! We have lost a racer, had a disconnect. Unfortunate set of circumstances. We have lost M. Taylor, y'all. Okay, here comes Haywood. Oh, Hamza's got the run. Give me a little on board with Hamza. What he sees now, Haywood just in front, 0.6 of a second. Haywood quickly opening up to a 0.7 of a second lead, though. And gaining now to an 0.8 of a second lead. Meanwhile, Lisa Salters here comfortably in P3, 2.5 seconds behind P2 in the form of Hamza. Thunder Runner now up into P4, 19 seconds off from P3. Giangico getting around Thunder Runner. Or Thunder Runner getting around Giangico, rather. Dango dyslexia, or dyslexia, I mean, something like that, yeah. So Giangico losing time to Thunder Runner, 1.4 seconds back now. Meanwhile, D'Alessandro just 1.8 seconds behind Giangico and losing time. D'Alessandro has got a great exit there out of Ascari as they come into Parabolica. Staley here in P7. Gummy working his way back up to P8. About to have a battle here for that P7 though. Meanwhile, Captain Case comes into the pits, loses the spot to CB Matt immediately. Just a half second separating Gummy and Staley here. Oh, Staley gets it all wrong and gets the dreaded reset. Just completely outbroke himself there. So Gummy will take P7. Staley falls back to P8. CV Matt here in P9 picked himself up a half a second penalty somewhere along the way here. Traver into P10. We got Snipes here in P11. Case here in P12. So Monza now up the lead again over Haywood by 0.3 of a second. And we got to try to catch that. It's going to go back so far, I think. Yeah, it went way, way back. We got to figure out the right button for that. So just 0.4 of a second over Haywood now. Lisa Salter's just 1.2 seconds behind Haywood now. I'll tell you what, Lisa Salter's showing some incredible consistency in this league. Here in the Pro Division. This is pretty much where you'll find Lisa Salters is in P3 nearly this for every race of this entire league. Just doing a fantastic job trying to keep up with Haywood and Hamza down to a 1.3 second lead. As they come through Ascari, Haywood just 0.2 of a second off the back of Hamza. .2 second is the gap between Haywood and Lisa Salters now. 1.1 second. Lisa Salters could get up into the slipstream here around Parabolica. It looks as though he has. That's going to pay him dividends for sure. The slipstream. Oh yeah, he's definitely closing the gap there down to 0.9 of a second. 0.8 of a second now. 0.7 of a second now. Hamza going a bit defensive there. Oh, Lisa Salters really close to the gap up there as Hamza and Haywood had a little bit of a bump. Now Lisa Salters sits just 0.3 of a second, maybe 0.2 of a second off the back of Haywood, firmly within that slipstream, and now we've got a three-way battle for P1. Incredible race here, halfway through this race. Still lots of racing time to go, 28 minutes to be precise. Incredible racing by these. Meanwhile, Thunder Runner sitting in P4, just running his own race, got 19-second gap ahead of him and a 4.8 second lead, make that a 5-second lead over Ken Jeeklib. Ken Jeeklib now coming under threat from D'Alessandro. D'Alessandro just 0.4 of a second behind. They've got 0.3 of a second. D'Alessandro on the move here, wants that P5. We'll see if she can get it done somewhere here around Ascari. Exit, perhaps gets a great exit, and Karen Jeeklib picks up a half-second penalty there. That's going to allow D'Alessandro to take over P5, though it'll be on the next lap there. She may potentially go. She's looking to the inside now around Parabolica. Just falls back in, tucks back in. You use a bit of that slipstream. Perhaps looking at another move here in before we get to Rentafio, or into Rentafio rather. Looking on the outside, that will give her the inside for the second corner. No, it doesn't manage to make it stick. Great racing here between P5 and P6. Guppy up into P7. Stevie Matt coming under threat from Staley. Staley just a half-second off the back of Stevie Matt. Now we got a battle for P8 and P9. Staley down to 0.4 of a second, 0.3 of a second. CB Matt getting a little bit wrong coming out of that chicane. allows Staley to get on through and take over P8. Now let's get a look at Snipes here. Sitting firmly in P10, got 13-second gap in front of him and an 18-second gap in the back. We got M. Traver here in P11 with Captain Case, just 3.9 seconds back in P12. Meanwhile, the battle for first place continues. Hamza leads the way with Haywood following. Lisa Salters just behind. Get on board here with Lisa Salters, see what it looks like to try to catch up to Haywood and Hamza, doing a fantastic job thus far. Ooh-wee, really closing up that gap there, coming through the chicane. Haywood taking a look on Hamza as they come into Ascari. Haywood on the outside, Hamza on the inside. A little bit of a bump there, but they both get through. Lisa Salters, here comes Lisa Salters, getting a great run. Might get a position here. Oh, firmly within this battle, just 1/10 of a second off. Lisa Salters getting at what looks to be a great exit out of Parabolica. Wow, what a battle. This is the best battle I've seen with these guys for P1, P2, and P3 all season long, man. These guys are just getting better and better week in and week out. I don't see how they can get any better or faster, but they do it each week. Haywood looking to the outside of Hamza. Really closing up that gap there through Wrench Field. Keep an eye on the rest of the field, see if there's any real battles going on, but there's really not. We're just going to stay here. Haywood picks up a 1-second penalty. Oh, how unfortunate. That is most certainly going to allow Lisa Salters to take over P2 for the time being. Haywood's going to have to serve that 1-second penalty as they come out of Ascari. A really detrimental place to have to serve a penalty on this track here at Monza today. Coming into Ascari just now. Lisa Salters getting a nice, clean, fast exit out of Ascari. Haywood having to serve that penalty. Lisa Salters cleanly around there. Meanwhile, Hamza 1.6 seconds up the road, making 1.5 seconds now. Lisa Salters getting a great entry in Parabolica, but it looks as though Hamza perhaps got a better exit indeed. Oh boy, I don't know. Times of flip-flopping back and forth. Haywood not in too awful bad a position though, just 8/10 of a second now back from Lisa Salters after having to serve that penalty. Now we got Thunder Runner. Woo! Lisa Salters getting a little bit squirrely coming out of Rentifio. Incredible racing we got going on. Going out here in the road division with the A3T. Again, sponsored by Six Sigma Sim Racing. And boy, howdy, these racers are not letting anybody down here tonight, I'll tell you what. get you a little look at what Lisa Salters is seeing behind Haywood all over. Just 0.5 of a second now back and back in front again. Meanwhile, Hampton is trying to run away here. Opened up that gap to a 1.7 second lead as they're coming through Ascari. Again, my favorite portion of this racetrack. Pretty technical, but high speed. Boy, that Mazda just jumps in speed right there. Anything going on? Looks like we've got a bit of a battle here. Ken G Club up into P4. CB Matt up into P5, but got himself a 1 second penalty as well, followed by D'Alessandro. Now D'Alessandro getting around into P5. CB Matt having to serve that 1 second penalty now. Ken G Club in P4 now going to dive into the pits. Meanwhile, D'Alessandro is going to continue on, I do believe. No, Alessandro. Go ahead and go into the pits as well. I don't know about that. Boy, I think I probably would have stayed out, but not my call. I am not the racer on the track. Apologies, guys. My voice is giving out on me. Incredible race here. We got Thunder Runner up into P6. Staley up into P5 now. Snipes in P7. Ken G Club will come out here with a full tank of fuel and a fresh set of tires with just 18 minutes remaining in this race. D'Alessandro comes out in P9 here. With Gummy quickly closing the gap here. Captain K's not too far off the back of Gummy. On board with Gummy now. On board with Captain K's, getting a good look at what he sees out in front of him. And now on board with Captain K, seeing Gummy out in front, and D'Alessandro just in front of Gummy here. Let's get back to this battle here for 1, 2, and 3, and Haywood gets around these Salters now. I don't know if there was a bobble or what. There must have been, because Haywood opened up a 2.6 second gap now over Lisa Salters. Indeed, good quality racing. Absolutely, my guy. Hey, Colin, absolutely appreciate the thumbs up on the stream as well. It's great. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for not forgetting to hit them reaction buttons. Absolutely appreciate it. So, Thunder Runner up into P4. Snipes into P5, Ken G Club in P6, Staley and CB Matt both coming in for their final pit stops. Where are they going to come out? On board with CB Matt. What's it looking like behind him? He looks like there's threats coming, and they are coming quickly. In the form of D'Alessandro, she's closing up that gap really, really fast. And Gummy all over her tail. Oh boy, here's a battle going on here in the back of the pack. Let's get back into the racing view here. Alessandro, Gummy, Staley, Captain Case. All right here, coming towards the end of this race, approaching the 15-minute mark remaining. Daly, just 1.8 seconds off the back of Gummy. Meanwhile, Captain Case just 1 second off the back of Daly. Traver round out your fields here in P12. MONZA holds on to P1, but just by 0.6 of a second over Haywood. They make their way into Ascari now. We'll see if Haywood can get a move done coming out of Ascari. Really close up that gap. 2 more tenths of a second drop off that time. 3 tenths of a second drop off that time. Here comes Haywood. Is he gonna look to make a move into Parabolica? MONZA getting it slideways there, drifting around Parabolica, holds that inside line though. Haywood unable to get around thus far. Incredible racing by these guys. Lisa Salter's just 3.3 seconds back now off of these guys. Still very, very firmly into P3. Let's see. Thunder Runner in P4, Snipes in P5. And G-Clip here in P6, 3 seconds back. Stevie Matt in P7. Now D'Alessandro taking a look to the inside here. Outside, rather. Stevie Matt closes the door here. See if she makes another move coming out of Ascari. She's got a good run. Oh, and she's got a half-second penalty, though, now, coming out of Ascari. Unfortunate. She goes to the inside. CB Matt able to hold her off. Defensive driving there by CB Matt in P7. Meanwhile, Gummy just 1 second off the back of these guys. Alessandro looks to the inside again, coming into Rancho. Gets the job done. Gets it a bit wrong there, and Alessandro goes all the way around, just gets off the racetrack and out of the way. Falling back all the way back into 10th place already, make that 11th. Unfortunate set of circumstances there, just pushed it a little too hard. On the gas a little bit too hard, coming out of Rentefield, and that BMW will go right round on you, baby, right round, just like that. Unfortunate. She was having an incredible race. Traver here, meanwhile, in P12. Haywood now takes over P1, opens up an 0.8 of a second gap over MONZA. Lisa Salters now, that little battle allowing Lisa to get up. Gain nearly a second on these two front runners here. Now Haywood picking up a 1 second penalty. That's unfortunate. That may allow enough time for Lisa Salters to get back up there and onto MONZA. It's going to put really super, super close anyways. May possibly be able to get around. We're going to have to keep an eye on this right here. Well, I'll tell you what. The racing's never been so tight between P1, P2, and P3 this far into the game here. Late stages of this race, and we've got just 10.5 minutes left remaining in this race. MONZA now serving that penalty. You see Lisa Salters. Here comes Lisa Salters. Down to 1.6 second lead. 1.5 now. MONZA coming into pit. Lisa Salters coming into pit. And that could not have worked out any better for Lisa Salters. Meanwhile, Haywood continues on If he does an incredible amount of fuel saving here, he may not have to pit again. I don't know that he can make it that far. I don't know that 5 laps is doable. This is going to be incredibly close, though. MONZA coming out just 1.3 seconds ahead of Lisa Salters. Thunder Runner in P4, Kanjiklev in P5, Gummy in P6, P6, Staley in P7, Captain Case here in P8, all over the back of Staley. It's 4/10 of a second separating P8 and P7. Captain Case really coming on strong here at the latter half of this race in the GTR. Stick with it here for a minute. Boy, it looks like Lisa Salter's really gaining some ground on MONZA as well. Captain Case can close this gap up now big time through this long straight, being firmly within the slipstream, just 1/10 of a second now. Captain Case slows it down, backs up a little bit, creates room so he doesn't end the racer in front. Here, Bubba. Yeah, he helps. There you go, big guy. Oh, that cost Captain Case, though, now falling back to 1.6 seconds behind Staley now. Staley gaining on Gummy. Gummy up into P6, Kanjiklev well into P5, Thunder Runner well into P4. Lisa Salter's losing some time now to MONZA. Generating it back to this long straight stretch, though. Got a better exit out of Parabolica by a inch. Meanwhile, Haywood, 7 minutes 45 seconds left in this race, has a 30-second gap. Now the question, now he's gonna have to pit. He's not fuel saving at all. He's just trying to increase this gap so he can pit and just take on 2 laps of fuel, maybe 3 laps of fuel. I doubt he'll even take on tires. Potentially he will, though. It's about a 37-second pit delta for a fresh set of tires and a full tank of gas, but he doesn't need a full tank of gas, so it's going to be like a 25-second, I'll say, about a 25-second pit delta for Haywood to come in and get enough fuel and enough potentially fresh tires to finish out this race. He's coming around Parabolica just now. Gonna have to make that pit stop. No choice in the matter. It's gonna be very, very interesting here. He's got a 32-second gap over MONZA in P2. Meanwhile, MONZA down to just a 2.1 second lead over Lisa Salters. And Lisa Salters just coming into Parabolica now. Oh, this is going to be incredibly close. Oh boy, howdy, here comes MONZA coming out of Parabolica. Lisa Salters just behind by 2 seconds. Lisa Salters getting another incredible exit out of Parabolica. Here comes Haywood out of the pits. Does make it out of the pits and into Retrofio here. So MONZA comes out of the pits with more than enough fuel to finish off this race and a fresh set of tires, 8.5 seconds ahead of MONZA. Lisa Salter still here in P3, 1.9 second lead by MONZA in P2 though. A really good under braking. Lisa Salter's really good on each and every exit. You can see the time just telling me that. Let's get back here. I know there was a battle going on. Captain Case all over the back of Staley again. 1.2 second difference. Oh no, apologies. That's between Gummy and Staley. 0.4 of a second difference between Captain Case and Staley here. The battle for P7. Staley's picked up a half a second penalty though. That's going to give it to Captain Case here. If Captain Case can at all close that gap up, he'll have that number 7 position away from Staley. So the whole field getting mixed up again. Snipes in P9, CB Matt in P10, D'Alessandro in P11, Traber in P12. Haywood with an 8.4 second lead over Hamza. Hamza with a 1.7 second lead over Lisa Salters. That is dwindling as they come into Rentafio. Hamza getting a little sideways. That's going to lose him a little bit of time right there. Lisa Salters always getting a great exit out of Rentafio there. See that time just dropping off there. Three minutes and 45 seconds remaining in this race. Wow. That gap keeps shrinking and growing between Hamza and Lisa Salters. Meanwhile, Hamza gaining some ground on Haywood here, down to 7.5, 7.4 second lead as Haywood. We're looking at 2 more laps here. 2 more laps for each of these racers. Underrunner firmly into P4. Just got to maintain. He'll come away with some really good points. Kanjikla firmly into P5. Gummy 4.2 second lead over Staley, who does manage to hold on to that P7 spot from Captain Case even after serving the half-second penalty. Battle continues for P7. Snipes here in P9, CB Matt in P10, D'Alessandro catching to CB Matt now, trying to get at that top 10 position. 2.1 seconds back, 1.6 seconds back, 1.4, 1.2. Snipes gets it all wrong. D'Alessandro's now got herself up into P10 and quickly gaining ground on CB Matt, looking to get one more position in 2 laps here. Snipes in P11, Traber in P12. Haywood 7.4 second lead over Hamza. Hamza 2.9 second lead over Lisa Salters. They are on their penultimate lap, these front 3. Haywood just coming into Ascari. Most certainly his penultimate lap. It'll be his final lap as he crosses the finish line here. Hamza 3.3 second lead over Lisa Salters now. Thunder Runner firmly in P4, as I have said. Will get one more lap as well. Kanjikla will not. Kanjikla will finish in P5. Gummy possibly staying in P6, 3.9 second, 4 second lead over Gummy. But CB Matt now definitely under threat from D'Alessandro. Here comes D'Alessandro looking to grab one more position and move up into P8 here on their final lap. This is the final lap for these guys. She gets it done now or she doesn't get it done at all. Long straight stretch before Ascari. Can she really close up that gap down to 0.5 of a second? She's got to get a great exit here. Oh, nice and smooth, and here she comes. Here she comes, D'Alessandro, looking to take the pass. Now will CB Matt go defensive, or will he stay on the racing line, the faster line? He does stay on the racing line. D'Alessandro all over the back of him, just 1/10 of a second separating these two. Oh, D'Alessandro gets it all wrong there, pushing too hard. Go, go, go. No, here comes Snipes. Snipes is going to snag that P9 away. Can she get back out on track and finish in P10? Here comes Traver. Oh, it's gonna, no, D'Alessandro does finish in P10. Fantastic job. Gummy does get P6. Staley in P7. Dang it, we miss Haywood coming across the line to get P1. Here comes Hamza. Grabs P2, well done, fantastic job. Lisa Salters coming in across in P3, fantastic job from the front three runners in this race, absolutely incredible. Thunder Runner having a brilliant race himself, coming across in P4. Ken Jikla will get P5. Incredible race, wow, what a finish. What a finish. Unfortunate for D'Alessandro, has two big bobbles in this race and cost her big time. Captain Case here has run out of fuel, but makes no difference. Will finish in P12. Absolutely incredible racing here from your pro division at the A3T, again sponsored by Six Sigma Sim Racing. And what a Sigma GT Challenge 1 hour endurance race this has been at Monza. Absolutely incredible. Fantastic bit of racing. We got Haywood coming across with that #1 podium position, finishing in P1 there, obviously. Hamza in P2, and Lisa Salters getting the final podium position in P3. Thunder Runner finishing in P4. Ken G Club in P5. Gummy will take P6. Staley will take P7. CB Matt will take P8. Snipes comes across the line in P9. D'Alessandro will maintain that top 10 finish in P10. Traber gets P11. Captain Case gets P12. And unfortunately, M. Taylor did not finish the race, as he had a very unfortunate disconnect, as he was having a great race as well. Now I'll tell you what, this commentator's voice is shot now. Wow, what an absolutely incredible race.